is Michel Haumbe. Yes, more or less?
Perfect.
Okay, your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, my name is Angel Ortiz. Sorry, not saying that. One of the organizers of the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Michel Haumbe from the Laboratory of Chemical Engineering in Toulouse, in France, and I am in my first year of PhD. And my thesis is supervised by Anne-Marie Barthes Delanoë and Stéphane Nenny in the frame of the Arbre project, funding by the French National Research Agency. I would like to talk to you today about our article entitled Towards Virtual Biorefineries. To begin, what is a biorefinery? A biorefinery is an industrial physical plant, standalone plant, where biomass is transformed into biochemicals, bioenergy, and biofuel, which are bioproducts, through four main processing steps, such as pretreatment, fermentation, separation, and purification. And each step encompasses specialized devices, specialized apparatus, and specialized processing conditions. But today, biorefineries are facing main threats, and the first one, the processing step are performed for one given input biomass and one given output bioproduct. And today, biorefineries are facing threats, and the first one is a rigid and specialized industrial process. Let me use an example to illustrate this point. As you can see, this specialized process in the center in this biorefinery contains specific equipment and specific devices, and able to transform this sugarcane, which is a type of biomass, into biofuel with ethanol at 4.5%. But for any reason, for example, if the quality of the sugarcane is not good, or the quantity is not enough, or for example, I need to use another type of biomass available, like corn, this specialized process won't be adapted, and the biorefinery can't work. In the same way, if I have to change the output bioproduct because I need steam, the biorefinery can't work anymore. Another threat is the variability. Due to constraints as, for example, the market here, which varying with the supply and the demand. And as I said, the properties of the biomass, which is a living matter, and which evolves with the season, with the weather, and in terms of quality, quantity, or purity. Or, for example, the cost of a biorefinery, it's really expensive to set up a new plant in terms of investment costs and also operational costs. So as you can see, the biorefinery is evolving in an unstable ecosystem where it's necessary to adapt the chemical process to any changes. That leads me to the next point, which is our proposal to untackle this unstable environment. And the issue deals with a need of agility for biorefineries. And according to the Barthes Delanoë researches, providing agility for biorefineries means providing the capacity to biorefinery to detect a need, for example, a new input biomass, and to execute the relevant adaptation with responsiveness, so in a time scale appropriate and with efficiency. To continue with our proposal, with a systemic approach, our proposal concerns the whole biomass processing from the harvesting until the consumer. So we are studying the whole biomass supply chain. And here you can see a typology of actors involved in the supply chain, as the farmer, the chemical plant, or the cogeneration unit. We consider that the chemical process could be performed in several plants and not in a unique one. So the biomass processing is decentralized, and each actor that I have presented you can propose a service, and this service can address a major step of the chemical processing. And thanks to this servitization, the collaborative process is created. And I would add something. The role of each actors could be evolved according to the biomass chosen and the bioproduct targeted. And in this way, no need to build a new biorefinery. We will use the equipment. We will reuse the equipment existing. It's a new way to design biorefineries in the chemical and process engineering. So the collaborative process and the servitization are in the heart of our proposal. Now turning our attention about the framework and the software platform to design and monitor the biorefinery. At the beginning, do you remember the stakeholders of the supply chain biomass? They will bring some information about their services, and these informations will be completed by exogenous data, as the weather of the market, for example. And the next step will be the characterization of the virtual biorefinery. To begin, the collaborative context, will be characterized, and it enables to define a generic collaborative process for the biomass processing, and it is composed by actors and service, objectives, context, and performance. Then, the knowledge from this collaborative context will be organized on an ontology. The next step will be the design of the virtual biorefinery. The knowledge gathered previously will be processed by an algorithm, an artificial intelligence algorithm, and this algorithm will select the available services and deduce the biomass processing appropriated. At the end, the collaborative process is established and presented to the stakeholder as a support decision tool. I would like to give you more details about the characterization of the collaborative context. For this, we have chosen to use a model-driven engineering approach, and in this way, we use the core meta model according to the Benaben and Al researches, and this core meta model is common to all collaborative situations, and it has been used successfully in other situations like a crisis or public services. And it highlights four main packages: the context, where is the environment of the collaboration, the partners, who are the actors involved in the collaboration, the objectives of the collaboration, and finally, the performance of the collaboration. And based this core meta model, we have extended it to create the virtual biorefinery meta model. So the specific layer in yellow. And I would like to detail the virtual biorefinery meta model. The context package sets the characteristic of the collaboration environment, and the point of entry was the deposit concept, which is the harvesting site. And the deposit contains the biomass, which has other concepts like the biochemical and physical properties, like the moisture, for example, the seasonality, which is linked to the harvesting, and the rotation. And this deposit is located in an area, in a delimited area, which have also specifications are production, topography, pedology, and climate, which is important. The good concept is important to know the required equipments, and the roadway concept is essential to know how to access to the deposit. The people represents the extended community, for example, a citizen association, and they will be decisive, for example, for the accessibility of the virtual biorefinery. And the institutions represent, for example, a council or the governing bodies, and they are important for the subsidies, for example. That's it for the context packages. Move now to the partners package, which defines the collaborative network. There are different actors in the supply, in the biomass supply chain, are farmer, chemical industry, or cogeneration unit. Each of them has resource, has materials, skills, competencies, and they will propose a service which will address a processing step, like as a fermentation or pretreatment, for example. And the coordination of the collaboration between them will be performed by the mediation information system. The objective package defines the objective of the virtual biorefinery. The main objective is the biomass processing, and the biomass processing must meet the market, which states the demand and the supply, and some factors can foster or disadvantage the collaboration. That's why we have created the impact factor concept, and different types of factor has been highlighted, as the social factors, the financial factors, the ecological factors, and technological factor. As an example, the trends in biodiversity can foster collaboration, or in the contrary, disadvantage it. And there are other examples for each factor, as you can see on the screen. now, and the last package, the performance package, which will assess the performance of the virtual biorefinery, leaning on KPIs. And these KPIs will measure externalities, for example, an environmental externality will be the pollution, and the pollution could be measured with samplings or with combined measurements. And in the same way, societal or externalities as the job creation or the energy interest could be measured by surveys or meetings. To conclude, let me sum up the main points. The Arbor project consists on going beyond the usual disciplinary approach of the biomass and energy industrial processing thanks to servitization and collaboration. For the moment, the meta model has been approved by our industrial partners, but the next step will be to instantiate the meta model with real data and to model the knowledge and collect data with a framework of the processing biomass step, and finally to virtualize and design the prototype of the biorefinery. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I will be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Lucia. Any question? Anybody else?
Just for me to understand how you moved from the rigid nature of the I'm not an engineer, so I'm very stupid on naive.
Okay.
I just wanted to understand because you have very rigid process.
Exactly. Yes.
And then you are using subsidization to create a virtual,
Totally.
that process is where I just miss.
I'm going to
follow all the other, that switch, it's where you were.
Maybe this one, for example, or this one?
The next slide. Yeah, the idea is here. So you drew.
Yes, maybe I will try to explain with this slide, for example. For this sugarcane, this chemical process is adapted to produce biofuel, and the process is fixed, is really rigid. So in our proposal, and in case of changes, this process is useless. Sorry, it cannot work for another type of biofuel or for another type of bioproduct. So in our proposal, to give the agility for the biorefinery to be agile in case of changes, we choose to decentralize this process in several plants which are already existing.
Okay, so physical.
Yes, physical
and then
plants.
you just make a request and then you
Totally.
pick which one you need that configure.
Totally, yes.
Okay.
And the actors of the supply chains has already the materials, the equipment adapted, and
That was just
okay.
That you have tried to represent in a previous.
Yes, sorry, in this slide, okay, for example, the chemical plant as the equipment and the workforce and a way to store the biomass, and it can propose a service to do the pre-treatment and to do the first transformation. And for example, the farmer can propose a service to the harvesting and also for the pre-treatment. And the selection will be done by the software.
Of course. So that leads to, of course, this is just the beginning of the work, but that should now lead to a number of issues in terms of how to select when you have multiple
I think
options.
it will be on my future task.
Okay, any additional question? Yes? No?
No, she's my supervisor.
Okay, well, maybe it's a whole moment to do something.
So let's talk about
Okay, I have some questions.
Okay.
You have mentioned that Arbri is a software platform.
Yes.
Yeah, I assume that it's now finished.
No, exactly.
It's,
We are at the beginning of the project.
That's right. But my question is, this platform will be for design, or should be also a platform for execution?
I think the both. In the first time, the platform will create the collaborative process. It's in the first line of the square, and after, when the process is designed, thanks to the algorithm, we can match each service with each actor who is available, and now the virtual biorefinery can work. So I think, if I understand well your question, this software is both for the design and the monitoring of.
You can complete it.
May I complete the answer? Basically, the first loop with the characterization and the design of the biorefinery is the design itself.
Yeah.
And then, while the process is executed on the platform can be used for monitoring, as we still feed the characterization of the ongoing collaborative process with exogenous data and stakeholders' data to monitor progress, if they are still available, if their services are are fitting with service contracts, things like that. And so, in case this is the next step or next project, in case of a mismatch between what we are aiming to do and what's really going on, we can advise for a new process or a new way to calculate.
Yeah, because in my understanding, there is a big step between characterization and design and process execution.
Yes.
You know, you have to build a lot of things, to connect a lot of things, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And I agree that once you have designed the processes and so on, you can collect information from real data.
Yes.
And then provide some kind of simulation, performance measure, and something like that. But I think that this is something that maybe you can think a little bit about it, because for me it's nice this approach. But in terms of the jumping from design to execution.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot of things
Yes,
inside.
yes, this is
A lot of partners, you have a partner in the project. They may, I don't know, they may be responsible for what's that.
I think.
Yeah, but in any case, I understand. I understand that you like a life cycle.
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
This is an endless loop. First loop is the design itself, and the first time you will provide the process to the partners, and then it will
almost every proposal that you have, you can read about the life cycle of the system, is like this, is characterization, design, but here you have some building block about build, implement,
I see what
okay, and then execute.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and for sure that, this approach is enough, is quite ambitious. Okay, and for sure also that once that you have built and implement the system, you are in the world of the process execution, and you can introduce additionally new information. And this approach can be a dynamic perspective in terms of simulation or for know the performance of the collaborative process also and so on. But it's only a question of, if, let me say, from a very theoretical perspective, to have all the. Also, you say no, I don't cover this step. I don't cover this step because it's not it's not my job in the PhD to do that. This is a very different project.
In this, my clients are beautiful. First, this is something very disruptive and innovative in the process engineering, because people always focus on approaches and optimization of equipment. And so asking them to think about servicization instead of on camps to perform the work process is something very so this is why we focus on this PhD, this project, proposing collaborative networks for violence resistance. But the next steps will obviously take into account the processing efficiency itself, because we have issues with transportation, with the stakeholders themselves, to make them accept to change their behavior, to share equipment. Even if in France, for example, farmers are used to share equipment and to buy things and equipment together. Yes, this is next step. So for this PhD and this project, it's out of the scope. But it will be next step of our research.
Perfect. And I have another question about the analysis that you have made here. You can go to the end of the presentation.
Stop me where it's necessary.
Well, my question is about this part of the meta model and the performance or not, and the objective package.
Okay.
In this kind of enterprises, in my understanding, I'm not an expert, but I know that there have been strong problems about the raw material that they're using, because, for example, the price of some bio material have increased a lot due to the demand of bio products, and also they have some ethical issues, because the people say that they are taking food from some places to convert in bio products in other places. Then I read something in the objective package about societal, financial, ecological, but in my understanding, I thought that this aspect can be appearing in this context package. Maybe it's not, because I'm not sure that when you speak in the objective about societal, financial, and ecological objective, you are taking into account like context aspect or like specific numbers, let me say.
Yes, when you talk about the price, for example, of the use of biomass for food, which is in competency, with the food. We are talking about elements which can affect the real objective of the collaboration, which is the biomass processing. That's why we have decided to pull in with the objective. And in a way, all the societal aspects are treated in the institutions and people concept. But all about the price and the market, as for us, some elements we can affect directly.
No, you can follow. But
in your vision, this aspect should be added in this context?
Maybe. For example, when you say here institution, I don't know if you speak about, for example, political aspect that can, because we are speaking about, in my opinion, worldwide business. I mean, when you are speaking about raw material, you are in France, but you are not able to manage all the processes with raw material only from France.
Oh, okay. I think this is something we can specify. In this project, we have decided to focus on local biorefineries to avoid to buy raw materials from Brazil, for example, being processed in France first for environmental reasons. This is an essence for us to buy something up on the other side of the planet to create green energy. And then from a logistics point of view, transport is composed of most 80% of water, so transporting water is an essence also.
Yeah.
And then to create employment and to be able to be agile and to process the existing biomass at a given time. Within 1 month, we have to deal with the local territory and the local institutions and people there. So one of the reasons of the decentralization of the biomass processing calling for skills in a local territory, in a local area. So obviously we are into global markets, but first we want to deal with the local raw materials and the local needs.
Perfect. I think that you introduce this constraint or this context aspect is
This is something
yes.
it's interesting because this method model depend on the the context that you decide to use. Then I think that it can be interesting because when you introduce this point,
Yes,
it makes sense.
Okay.
So just one because in terms of the even design and implementation of this, I think there are many control framework models solutions out there. And I don't envisage that you're going to do anything from the beginning. The idea is destructive, but implementation, the number of components are there, right? In terms of what you need the machinery from going from to do that. Service implementation, cloud, whatever. Centralization is being used in other contexts. So what are the additional, what do you see as additional requirements to the state of the art in, say, the area of service orientation or maybe cloud-based services, that you would need in this problem, right? That's not there. So again, I don't think you need to do all those things. Repeating them doesn't make sense because they're just orchestrating services now.
Obviously, we are relying on existing results on whereas supply chain decision we apply it to every
Yeah.
But the main issue we have with biomass is that it is a living matter in the sense of if you have biomass at time T, 5 days later, biomass will have less better quality, and so change the entire chemical process. So could change the entire implementation process. So the timeline is quite difficult to manage and well.
Okay, so it means you just factor in the constraints of the the technology don't not change.
Compared to, for example, the manufacturing where we are placed to object without any change.
Again, it's just the constraints over the existing
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Janos Conte.
Good afternoon. I'm afraid that that paper is much more theoretical and not so interesting than the previous one. Well, this work has been developed. Well, my name is Janos Cuenca. I came from Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, from Spain. This paper has been developed by María Ángeles Rodríguez. She is a student in a preliminary stage of her PhD, and the work is supervised by the Professor Ángel Ortiz and myself. A brief outline of the presentation is a summary of the introduction and the objective, a brief concept related to fileware and fileware in smart farming, the comparative analysis of generic enablers, and finally conclusion and feature lines. The final objective of the PhD will be to try to develop or to try to improve the production planning with technicals of big data. But in order to use the big data, she needs to know which is the source of the data, and mainly this data are coming from the IoT devices. So the objective is to study the platform, the technology that try to extract this data. Well, Fireware is an open source platform for the deployment of Internet of Things application, driven by European Union and managed by Fireware Foundation. Recently, Fireware Foundation has launched a new project called Agribusiness, developed by Tim DeBon in March 2018, which focuses on smart farming, and it uses Fireware infrastructure. So the objectives of this paper is analyze which are the existing solutions in smart farming that currently are using Fireware as a platform, and compare or analyze the different generic enablers used with this technology. The aim is to make a literature review of the state of the art in Fireware in smart farming, and including in this review the newest solution called Agribusiness. Well, to begin with Fireware, the key of Fireware is to be an open architecture and a reference implementation of a service infrastructure. It's building upon generic and reusable building blocks, and these building blocks are called generic enablers. These generic enablers offer a number of general purpose function, like an API, is in development of a smart application in multiple sectors: health, supply chain, in farm, and so on. And they are grouped into different functional groups. First of all, we can find the generic enablers inside the group of architecture of application, services, ecosystem, and delivery framework. SIDF, this group of generic enablers are the elements that interact with the user. They allow to co-create an application, publish, cross-sell, and consume application of services. For example, we can use Wild Cloud to develop web application from F, like dashboard. Once we have our application, we can or we want to use this application in different computers, for example. Sometimes when we try to use or to install our application in one computer, we need to install a lot of extra component or extra application, or we need to configure to be able to work with an operative system. So to try to solve this problem, inside the group of cloud hosting, we have a group of generic enables. These elements provides computation, storage, and network resources to manage services. For example, Docker provides like a container. It's a group of elements that we can put together in a container, and we don't need anything extra to use my application that I defined before. Only with Docker, I have all the elements that I need. Another component can be Murano. Murano provides the basic support for hardware deployment management. In all the cases, in all the groups of generic enables, each one of these elements provide a complementary functionality. I don't have to choose use Docker or use Murano or use Cloud Portal because they try to solve different problems. So I choose what I need. Sometimes people try to define, or they have a new necessity, so they can create a new generic enable, so Fireware can accept or not this generic enable. In the group of data context management, the object is easy access, gathering processes, publication and analysis of context information at large scale. For example, we have Orion. Orion is a context broker that tries to connect the application that has been defined with the other element in the group of IoT elements. Well, Orion has the possibility to store only the last element that the sensor has recovered. If I want to maintain an historic, for example, of the different data that one device have detected, I need to use another element. For example, Cygnus allow us to maintain an historic data, or she can offer us to publish or to maintain in an open portal. Also, we have the component CLP. This CLP informs from event data in real time. I can program to send an email, for example, when the sensor detects that the temperature is too high or too low. This component sends to me a message. Well, if we relate with the previous one, we have enables that allow me to define application. I have a generic enable that allow me to define or to create dashboard to show the information. I have Orion to connect my application with the information that has been extracted of the sensor, and we can use all together. Also, another group of generic enables are I2 and D. This element allow to communicate different application. The objective is build communication efficient distributed application, explore advanced network capability, and easily manage robotic device. por ejemplo, the Kiara implement transparent and secure standard between different applications. Well, the IoT SE, this component, it makes connected things available, searchable, accessible, and usable. So I have different sensors in my field, in my farm, for example, and how can obtain the data from the sensor. With these generic enablers, we can obtain or extract the information that has been stored in or recorded in a device, in a sensor. For example, IDAS collect and transform data to Orion. Orion was the element that allowed connect the sensor with the application, but we need something that extract the information of the sensor in the language that Orion understands. So IDAS is the work with different protocol to extract the correct information from the sensor in the language that Orion is able to understand, to send the data to the application. Well, all of that information obviously needs some kind of security. So the group of security, we have three elements. For example, the key ropes is related with the authentication and outforce with the resource access. It makes delivery and usage of services by meeting security and privacy requirements. The way of working is similar to Gmail. In Gmail, I have an account, and this account can be used, the same account for Gmail, for the calendar, for the Google Docs, for different applications around the Gmail. Here is the same way of working. With Keyrock, we can have an account. All the generic enablers and all the devices can use the same account. The last one group, advanced user interface, enrich the possibilities to show the information with 3D or augmented reality to the way of showing the information, not only with the dashboard that we have said before. Well, using all the generic enablers provided by Fireware, several applications oriented to smart farming have been developed along the years. For example, Agri-IoT have sensor data stream in real time from different and heterogeneous sensors. WeDoc is an app for reducing water in crops. Testbeds is a laboratory, it's an environment to simulate the use of IoT devices. COP Infra is an infrastructure to assist farmers to try to predict the demand or to fulfill the demand better than predict. And Greenhouse is an application to try to improve the collaboration between farmers. The last one and the newest is Agribusiness. It's a new platform which managed to bring hardware and software together in a decision-making process that supports farming activities and offer a plug-and-play interface for a smart farm. Inside Agribusiness, we have an example of tobacco crop in Italy. This is the sensor that there are in the field. They send the information to the crop. With information that we can recover from the sensor, we can show all the information, in this case, regarding the humidity in the atmosphere and humidity in the soil. with the result of that information that we obtain with the sensor, the farmers can make decision about what action to do, what the water or remove the crop and so on. This is the interface for the agriculture. This will be the dashboard that we can define. Well, these solutions, the main result that we can obtain is to be aware of the disease at real time and forecast what activity to do, monitoring the crop. We can have decision support systems related to treatment or fertilizers, depending on the information that we receive of the sensors, and farm management and end-to-end traceability. Besides that information, Agriculus offers a web application because it's connected with the geographic information systems and allow the farmers to map fields combining these geographic information systems. And the last one capacity that we have with Agriculus is that Agriculus work together with Free Space, is also developed by European Union, and it allows negotiate collaboration with different participants, managing intercompany business processes and exchange data or deliver and use value services. Well, these activities related to Agriculus are collecting data from several sources, such as sensor or devices, organizing, analyzing the collected data to create an historical data, and finally utilizing this data to compose the application. In the two first activity, we can use fireware. The components of fireware that you can use are that we can see here. To collect data from the sensor and bring them together to be analyzed and stored with the reused fireware generic and labels, we use first of all Orion. Orion allows to manage the entire life cycle of context information, including updates, queries, registration, and subscription. We need subscriptions because we have to subscribe to obtain information about Cygnus and Cognos, to be information. Well, also IDAS is the generic enable that obtain the information from the sensors in the language that Orion is able to understand. I need to this element to extract information with the protocol and send the information to Orion. Then Cognos and Cygnus help us to store and analyze the data and transport the information between different applications. And finally, KeyRock offers identity management to configure private identification for sensor and device. Here, this is the graphic of the group of generic enables that this element belong to. Well, if we review which is the use of generic enablers of fireware that is made by different smart farming application, we can see how this group related with the store and management of data is the most used for all the application, because this is the most important part when we try to obtain all the data from the sensors. We have all the previous one analyzed, and when we use also Agriculus, this is the total one with Agriculus. Well, as a conclusion, this Fireware Solutions stack provides tools accessible to worldwide farmers and consumers. This is a good news for the agricultural sector because they can adopt these new technologies in his farm and create connected farms, not only to be alone. Orion is the generic enables belonging to DCM group is the most reused in solution analysis in smart farming. So data context management can seem essential for any smart farming in IoT platform. Therefore, we can say that Fireware is a powerful open platform and it's useful way to standardize the adoption of common interfaces in the IoT. Try to help the user to use the same platform in many different sectors and Europe. Future lines of this research is when we have ended the revision of the solutions based on Fireware, but there are another solutions not only based on Fireware but also based on proprietary solutions. For example, we have this one developed by Amazon, and a few months ago we have the Google IoT platform. They have their own platform to connect with IoT devices. So now this part is near to end, and after that we compare all the components with the elements of the architectural reference model. At this moment we have extended the solution that have been developed in the smart farming field, and we have 13 applications analyzed, and 10 of 13 are developed with Fireware, and only 3 of them are developed by another proprietary solutions. So I think that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Any question? Yes, please.
The interoperability of the sensors data. How is it relying on models, Fireware, or yes, more standards?
The interoperability of the sensors,
Data for content, yeah.
yes, we have yes. This is the element that allow to connect different sensors. They allow to communicate different sensors. It makes connected things available, service accessible, and usable.
So because there, I know of a few initiatives, I mean, in Europe, in the IoT community, on standardization. So, but this appears to be like standardization through a particular solution, so forcing data coming from sensors through IDAS, which is linked to the Orion. So rather than having more general data models that you can actually use to describe data coming from sensors. So I see this as this appears to be a solution based approach rather than open standards. And that's what I'm trying to say. Do you see any other standards apart from using IDAS as a component?
Yes, at this moment,
This is like
this
a
is
converter. This is like a converter, but I'm talking about the standard.
yes, at this moment this is the standard that we have.
The Fireware has data models, and there are some other ontologies that are also available in the community. I'm just wondering why I didn't see that in the presentation.
No, at this moment I think that's that we have used.
I'm not sure that all the generic enable can address and face all the IoT standards. Sure, when they develop some of them, and many internal generic enables that because you know the fee were finished
Yeah.
some time ago. I think that
For example, which my colleagues
Yeah.
are leading and so we're working also in testing. Yeah, but I was expecting to see some open standards.
yeah, yeah. Could be
But data interoperability,
interoperability, yes. Something that we can check also in the research. Okay. Okay. Any additional questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Maybe I missed it, or not understanding during the presentation, but how do you guide the user in choosing the generic labels to create their own solution in the end? So do you provide any or do you have constituents of people in creating their solution based on
Yes, all the information is public. All the information of the fireware is public. It's easily to access all of the information, but you need some knowledge, some technical knowledge to be able to use. And depending of what you need, you will use a generic enabler or another. If you want to use to develop only an application, or you want that your application connect with a sensor. Depending what you need, do use a generic enabler or another one.
Because I was thinking, for example, on the CMP generic input, and some complexity processing requires to create rules to react on the incoming labels to create new labels. And this is not necessary an easy task to perform for people who are used to and especially for people from business experts.
Yes.
Who are not
Yes.
experts.
You need some knowledge, some technical knowledge to use it.
Okay, so based on technical background, has the documentation information and
Uh-huh.
the generic
Yes, you need, but you can you have more reusable components than you can use.
Yeah, actually, our idea is to use generic enable to develop application, taking into account the requirements of the farmers, to create that they call a specific enable that are creating from the generic one, and they are closer to the user and easy to use for them because in the way of the generic enable for them is impossible to use because some of them are poor paper.
Yes.
With the specification and so on. Then our idea is to take the best one for our business needs and with the requirements of the farmer try to create a specific piece of software to use it.
So this is really creating sort of basic rigs which
Yeah.
are necessary to be tuned and parametered to fit with the new.
That's the idea. And instead of start from scratch, we use this kind of components that some of them have been developed and there are some functionality, and there are a lot of knowledge inside.
So anyway, the main function is on the road that to fit, designed to fit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
My question was linked to third question, so I will start another maybe. It's if you make specific enablers, will you which attributes will you choose to make it specific? Maybe the size of the farm or the kind of crops it's farmed. I don't know. Which will it be? Which attributes the specific enablers will depend?
Yeah. It's for example, when you are working on some generic enables related with IoT, they are more in the field of a standard. When you are taking this generic enable to, for example, farmer or to industry, you are trying to be closer to the specific devices that they use for that. For example, in the example of the tobacco, is about the humidity, about if you are in the industry, the IoT devices are totally different, are for pressure, for another things, then they use sometimes different kind of data model, different kind of specific things that you try to introduce in this generic enable, getting closer to the reality of the sector, of the enterprise, and so on.
So it's only depending on the kind of sensors they use.
Yeah.
Okay.
The kind of sensor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Okay. One question, then we go to the last presentation. Well, this is my presentation. Is this one? No. Always the same, the last one. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ángel Ortiz, and well, I'm going to present this paper. The name is a collaborative model to improve farmer skill level by investing in uncertain context. I belong to the same research center than Llanos Cuenca. Well, our research center is mainly devoted to operation management, logistics, and supply chain. And we use operation research and information system to try to solve different problems, functional problems, using this kind of tools, mainly. In this case, we're trying to solve a problem of collaboration, also in a farmer environment. We are now involved in a European project, RISE. Here, Marie Curie, you know, that's for interchain of research and enterprises. And we are going to use some kind of operation research tools to solve this problem. Then we are focusing on small farms. Why? Well, because, here is the definition and some points about we are focused on that. We define a small farm like a farm with less than 2 hectares in size. It's a very important issue because 85% of the farms in the world are small farms. And 80% of the production in the world is from this kind of farms. Well, actually, these kind of small farms have several problems to analyze and to face. For example, the increasing of the demand of high quality products. You know, all the retailer are asking for better products. Also, the customer, we are asking about that. There are some weakness in accessing to new technologies to these small farms. This morning in one of the sessions we have heard about that also. There are some weaknesses also in improving vegetable safety and quality. That is another strong requirements from the different customer and retailer. And they have to face in some way with product waste or product that not reach the quality standard that the customer are asking for. Then they need to improve the quality of the products, and then the question is how to improve the quality of the different products of the vegetables. Well, one way is to increase the capability of the small farmers, providing them some funds to adapt new technology and to improve the farms. Okay, then this is the collaboration that we are addressing this research. That means, for example, some retailer can say, well, you are my provider, and I can give you some money in order that you invest and provide me better products, and I can sell a higher price, and then maybe I can recover this money, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. It's more or less the idea that we are facing in this paper. Well, we take this idea from previous research from an Indonesian research group that proposed to include this activity of funding farmers like a corporate social responsibility programs for retailer. And then in this way, I have mentioned, to increase the vegetable quality. Then we take this paper from Sutopo et al. And from Wayudin et al. As a basis of our research. None of this paper actually have the idea of manage uncertainty. That means that all the variables are deterministic in those papers. Okay. Well, then our research methodology was to generate an extension of the mixed interlinear programming proposed by Orion et al. In 2015. And here you can see the difference between the two papers. In the original paper, there are no waste. It means that the demand is always equal to the supply. In our paper, we can have some waste, meaning that the supply is higher than the demand. The original paper, there are no unmet demand, no back order, and the demand is equal to the supply. And in our model, the demand can be rejected. That means that the demand is higher than the supply. Then here, as I mentioned, it's a deterministic model. We have included some uncertainty in several variables in the model. Following the methodology, we have created an uncertainty model, and we transform this uncertainty, this fuzzy model, in an equivalent auxiliary Krebs model, that is a deterministic model, but with the characteristic of modeling a fuzzy system. Okay? This methodology was taken from this article of Jimenez et al. In 2007. We have solved the model from different grades of feasibility. I will explain further what is the feasibility. And then we have select the best solution following an interactive method that was published from Pedro et al. This is people from our research group also, in order to find the best solution in this kind of uncertainty model. And this is the methodology that we follow in this paper. Well, from a conceptual point of view, the supply chain is like this. We have several farmers. Normally they come together in some kind of cooperative of farmer. We have another echelon, that is the retailer, and another echelon that are the market, the customer markets. Okay? And as you can see here, this arrow at for high quality products, and this other arrow are for non-high quality products. Okay. In this sense, retailer always obliged to provide high quality products, and farmers can provide directly to the consumer market only no high quality products, normally to lower prices. And high quality products go in this is the flow from several cooperative to modern retailer and then to the final market. And the non-high quality products, normally they are sold directly from cooperative to the consumer market. Okay. Well, the description of the collaborative program is that farmers have classified in 4 skill levels in function of the proportion of the high quality vegetable to be harvested. That means that if you are able to provide less than 70% of high quality vegetables, you are that we call SLO. If you are able to provide till 80%, SL1, 90% SL2, and 100% SL3. Okay. And the model retailer can found farmer to increase his skill level. We have put, for example, with 300 euros, but you can choose whatever you like to put here. And there is a total amount of money that the model retailer have to cover the full program. In this case, 7,200 euros. That means that initially, if they use all the money, they can provide 24 grants for the different farmer in order to improve the level, to jump from one level to the other. In our problem, the proportion of high quality vegetable to be harvested at each farm is unknown. It's a fuzzy parameter. The increase of the proportion of high quality vegetable to be harvested with each farm is unknown. It's also a fuzzy parameter. That means that sometimes you can found some of them, and it's not necessarily an increase in the high quality production. And the demand and the quantity of harvest are also unknown, are also a fuzzy parameter. This is the problem description. And then we have model this situation. We have this pack of decision, the quantity of vegetable of quality or non-quality to be transported between the different supply chain stage. Okay. It's the flow, the material flow, the quantity of waste vegetable, the quantity of rejected demand, and the investment made on farmers. This is the 4 decisions that are important for us to model our problem. The objective is maximize the supply chain profits. Okay? So all the partners involved in the supply chain should maximize the profits. The profits are obtained from sales, and we have some costs like the production cost, distribution cost. The distribution costs are between different echelons: farmers to cooperative, cooperative to retailer, retailer to market, cooperative to market, and so on. And penalty costs when we reject some kind of demands, and additionally the investment. And this is the formula for the profits. And then the applicability is to define which investment should be made by the model retailer to increase the profits in the whole supply chain, and to determine then one of the results is the number of grants to increase the profits, and determine the flows along the supply chain. I mean the quantity and where to put these different grants. Well, this is the typical definition of mathematical model. I'm going to avoid to go around everything because it's the normal. You define here the different parameters, okay, the quantity of vegetable to produce in the farmer in a period, so in a farmer E in a period T, and so on, the price, cost, and so on. Here we have the decision variables, the quantity of vegetable to be of this kind of quality to be transported from the cooperative facility to from the farmer E in the period T, and so on. Here we have the objective function, okay, profits, distribution from one echelon to the other, distribution cost from another echelon to the other, and so on, and the penalty cost, and also the investment in the collaborative programs, and all the constraints. The balance between among the different vegetables in the farmers. You can transport more that you harvest for sure, and well, the different constraints. Okay. Once we have modeled the problem, as I mentioned before, we have to convert the fuzzy constraint in some kind of deterministic constraint with this that we call the Chris model. Okay. And then to do that, you have to create several equations. Okay. For example, the fuzzy constraint 1, that this one. In the Chris model, seems like this. Okay, it's a complex. Well, at the end, you can see here that we define a fuzzy variable like a triangular distribution. Then you have to model this distribution like a deterministic one. Okay, then that means that you have to create several additional equations. Okay. Well, we have modeled this big model with MPL language, and we have solved with Gurobi, that is a very traditional and good solver, and we have found the different results. We have modeling from 120 periods, and from different feasibility scenarios. And then we can find for every feasibility scenario how the profits are in different scenario, the investment. You can see here in this point, this is the maximum the maximum number of that 24, that is the maximum. Here the demand fulfillment for high quality vegetable, and here is the demand fulfillment in percentage for high quality products and non-high quality products. Okay, this variable is regarding the possibility to find a solution easily or to don't find the solution easily in a mathematical model. I mean, when you introduce fuzzy values, sometimes you can find that you have no affordable solution in the reality. Can be mathematically possible, but in the reality are not feasible. Okay, and then in fuzzy model, this is shown by this parameter. Okay. One means that is sure that you have a solution, and O means that sometimes you can find a solution but it's impossible to implement. and the rest of the value are well, value when you can find solutions that are more able to be implemented in reality. Okay? As you can see, we have 11 solutions in terms of the feasibility and from this value from 0 to 1. And additionally, we have to provide this information to the decision maker, and the decision maker have to provide us information to solve or to give the final solution. And this aspect is made with another parameter that, for example, here is related with profits and the quantity of high quality vegetables sold to the markets. Then we ask to the decision maker, well, what kind of profits are acceptable to you? Which is the threshold for the profits, or which are the threshold for the quantity of high quality vegetable to be sold in the markets? And then the decision maker gives you some thresholds. And they express that we call the grade of satisfaction, and then the solution is depending of the grade of satisfaction and the grade of feasibility. And then we create an acceptation index, okay, that measure the best solution. Well, the best solution is the solution that balance both things. Well, here, for example, you can see that we write 1 here. That means that this is the profits. That means that the supply chain say, well, if we obtain profits above 8,500 euros, is a good solution. Okay. In our model, we have found solutions that provide higher profits. But yeah, this is higher. Well, it's higher one. And this is about the quality, the quantity of products, or high quality products. And they say, well, till this quantity, that is really is about, I think that 3,350. It's difficult for me. 3,350 kilos. Okay, it's okay. Then you have 1 for all of them. This is acceptable. Okay. And the quantity that are below, they have, less values, or lower values. And O means that, well, this is not a good solution for me. This is an acceptable solution. Okay? All these are an acceptable solution. Okay. Then with all this information, we create this K value that is it's an average between this one, that is from the feasibility, and this one that is for the feeling that the decision maker likes. Then this is a mix, this is an average, and the best solution, the higher value of care, that is the best balance between feasibility, that means the capacity to find good solution, and this degree, that is the acceptable solution for the decision maker. This is the best one, the higher, that mix both aspects, is the solution that we choose. We choose this solution because this is over the threshold for the profits and for the quantity. This is not the best one, but is above the threshold, that is more or less here for the profit and here for the quantity. Okay? That means that 0.6 is the solution. Then the final solution is that if we make this number of investment, that is is 17, okay, we can take these profits we can fulfill this demand with high quality vegetable, and the rest of the demand will be with no high quality vegetables, okay, because we cover the 100% in this case, of maybe not, because we can have no demand supply. Then, well, some conclusion here. We have proposed a FASI model to empower a small farmer through modern retailer funding when they consider that is acceptable. And well, we propose a model that can be extended with more realistic behavior, that not all the customers are willing to buy a non-quality vegetable, or including more economic data also. Well, some knowledge to finish. This research has been supported by a national program. This is the grant that our PhD student is supporting her, and the European project, the RISE project that I have mentioned before. And you have here some references. And that's all. Thank you very much. And I'm open to every question. Any question?
In the last one, after generating the candidates' solutions,
Yeah.
I'm wondering how you communicate that to the decision, because you now have a multi-criteria decision problem.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you'll be dealing with very non-technical people. So I'm wondering how you simplify that interface for making such complex decisions. How are you able to? What means would you use to be able to help?
No, because if you remember, we have several decisions,
Yeah.
but at the end it's a question to sit down with the farmer and say, well, not with the farmer, with all the people involved in the supply chain, because not all of them have the same maybe they like exactly the same. But at the end we say, well, what do you prefer here? What do you prefer to put like the first or the second? Like, what do you like? And then in this case they say, well, I prefer profits and I prefer high quality, the maximum quantity of quality.
So what I'm saying is, because for such companies, I was wondering whether you considered a process like so that it's because of the interface. I'm just wondering how you communicate.
No, in this case, it's simple. That it's only to say, what do you prefer? At the end, for sure that they say, well, if I put more money, I increase the quantity of high quality products. But at the same time, you know that the investment that you say is a fuzzy variable regarding the quantity of products and the profits.
So, but my point is that if you put, for example, like an age processing, you have more interactive system with those, and that's I was just curious about.
No, you are right. I mean, in our engineering mind, the whole problem is composed by several pieces of things. This is to solve the problem that you say we can addition a new one to.
Yeah.
Any additional question? Yeah.
Earlier you were talking about sustainable decision making for the presentation of Michel. And do you plan for the future to add with the profit, choose either the profit or the quality, and maybe the quality or the whole production capacity? Because the more you ask for the farmer, maybe the less he will be able to produce in the future years. I'm not an expert, but maybe.
Yeah. For sure, when you decide to plant something and to harvest and you increase the quantity, of land that you devote to something, it's possible that that you can affect the future planting in the same area. Then, in some way, this is an optimization of a local farmer that we can take into account. That's saying, well, you take a decision now, but the decision is affecting the future. Okay, because in the future you can take less money for that. Then we need to include this kind of additional variable. And as I mentioned, we are able now. This model is 120 periods. This solved in a few seconds. That means that we can increase the number of variables and to increase also the horizon in order to take in account this kind of problems. Okay, time is over. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for all the questions. I think that the session has been really, really interesting. And thanks to all of you for the participation.
Thank you.